Chefs, what red flags should people look out for when they go out to eat? If a restaurant has a huge menu, it's all frozen. When the menus are super dirty and never cleaned, that means everything is super dirty and never cleaned. If the area is busy but the restaurant is empty, that's usually a bad sign. Ask where your oysters come from. If they don't know, you don't want them. Works for most seafood. If a restaurant has a one-page menu, that's usually a pretty good sign. It means their line cooks have become specialists and can usually nail at the dishes listed. Conversely, if a restaurant has a giant multi-page menu, that's a giant red flag. The longer the menu, the better the odds that you're paying to eat a boiled back frozen meal. Cook for a small Mexican restaurant here. I always look for how the staff interact with each other. If they all seem to enjoy being there and coordinate well, more often than not it's because everything is running smoothly and they have a good system, which usually means they know what they're doing and you can expect good food. That's how it always is for the smaller, family-run restaurants I frequent anyway, which I believe always have the best food. Chef here, this is very true. We have an open kitchen with customers often at the bar within earshot of us. We spent our shifts ripping on each other and generally talking shit, but all in good mood. Customers seem to get a kick out of how we all interact, like a family. We bicker, talk crap, yell sometimes, but at the end of the day we love each other and run a great kitchen. Pastry chef here. As much as people say avoid specials, I can't speak for everyone, but at least in desserts/breakfast pastries, if you see something new it's worth trying. Chances are it's something the chef has been working on for weeks on their own time. There's a lot of love and effort put into it. Also, the standby if the menu is a book. It's probably not great. The biggest thing to keep an eye on though, in my opinion, is the staff. If there's pissed off people, get out as fast as you can, obviously. If everyone is kinda apathic and not talking to each other much, get out. That's also a shitty environment. Everyone is probably really passive aggressive, and that's going to show. If people seem genuinely good with being there, even if it's busy or if there's playful ragging going on, that's where you want to be. The better the staff gets along, the better everything in the place runs. I have a family member who's worked in multiple different restaurants, and they always advise me never to get drinks with ice because too many places don't keep their ice machines cleaned because it's so often overlooked compared to other kitchen equipment. If there is different cuisines on the same menu, it usually means it's not gonna be good. I don't trust that people can do Japanese and Italian in the same kitchen. If employees try to argue with you about food quality in order to dissuade you from sending something undercooked back, just leave. It means they have a cook who can take criticism, and your chances at getting a sneezer are greatly increased. This is late, but I clean kitchen exhaust systems. If you walk in a restaurant and can smell grease, walk out. That means the place isn't clean, from the exhaust system to cooking equipment. We clean some places where grease drips off the hoods onto cooking surfaces. Cook at a fancy casual fine dining restaurant here. If your food is out impossibly fast, it's probably something to be concerned about. I'm talking ordering an entry and it's out in like 10 minutes. This usually means it's already been cooked and they just have to reheat it. Now something like a salad, okay, that shouldn't take any time at all. But you want to make sure your lettuce, or whatever green it is still crunchy and fresh. Otherwise it's been made before and has been sitting. Generally speaking, watch the waitstaff. If the majority of them seem disgruntled or upset, things probably aren't great. This often translates to the kitchen, so they probably don't care about your food if they aren't being treated fairly. Another thing to look out for is the cleanliness of the place. If the restaurant seems dirty or unmaintained, the kitchen is in similar shape most of the time. I've heard people say, never order the fish on a Monday. or don't get any specials because it's probably product that's about to go bad. But at my restaurant that's not the case. We get orders all throughout the week and our specials are things we are playing around to see if it could be added to the menu. So I would say just be cautious about that sort of stuff. Also, it helps to read reviews. I like to read the 1-star reviews to see why it was rated that way. If a majority of the reviews are some really stupid shit and all the other reviews are great, you're likely going to get some kick-ass food and service. You all know the ones I'm talking about. Some Karen who left a 1-star review because her water ran out once during a huge crunch, or something else totally ridiculous. How does the place actually smell? Does it smell like good food? Then it likely is. Does it smell like perfume or too sterile when there is clearly food on the tables? That could be a bad sign that they are trying to hide something less than pleasant. That's pretty much all I can think of at the moment. If you walk into a restaurant and hear Gordon Ramsay yelling at the staff, you probably want to leave. Unless it's one of Gordon's restaurants, of course. This isn't so much about sanitary red flags like most of these, but more about saving you money. If you're going to get sushi rolls, make sure you read the ingredients. A lot of places have what amounts to a California roll for a premium price. I've told this story before, but it's the best example of what I mean. I worked at a Japanese restaurant for a while, and we had this thing called a volcano roll, and it cost $7.25. A California roll there costs $3.75. The volcano roll was a Cali roll cut into the shape of a triangle, and topped with spicy mayo that has been heated up with about 10 cents worth of fish. Literally just a few bits that was not worth it. You are much better off ordering a Cali roll and paying extra 50 cents for spicy mayo on the side and asking them to heat up. I had a guy come in with a girl and he ordered a couple of regular rolls, like spicy tuna and yellowtail, along with a volcano roll. When served in the restaurant, unless they ask us, we would put the sauce on top so it looked nice, like a volcano. When I brought that roll over, he was like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys put sauce on. I only gotten in to pick up and the sauce is always on the side. I don't really like it. Could you bring me one without it?" I tried not to laugh and said sure. I went back and the sushi chef asked what was wrong. I told him that he didn't like the sauce and want one without it. He laughed and said alright, so we took a Cali roll, cut it up and put it on the plate. I brought it back to the guy and he was super pumped. Basically, this guy paid $7.25 for a roll that would have cost him $3.75, and me and the sushi chef got to split a free volcano roll. Normally, I would have just told him about it, but the dude was being so arrogant the entire time, I'm guessing to act like he was a sushi expert to impress the girl he was with. I've seen this at a couple of other places too, where they slightly dress up a California roll and jack up the price. You don't want to end up like that guy just because you didn't take a few seconds to go over the ingredients. Obligatory, not a chef. My grandfather was a long-haul trucker and always told me on road trips to look for the places truckers congregate. They all talk to each other and will find the best places along the highways. It worked out for me so far. Waitress here. If you see any food coming out that's messy and there's sauce all over the rim of the plate, etc., it's likely to mean that the chefs aren't putting much effort into their meals, and they therefore will not be very good. All the chefs at my work find it so important that everything is presented well, and I agree. So if they miss something, I'll check the plates and point it out, which they always appreciate as it reflects well on them. I've done bartending/waitressing for a few years. Here's my list. First of all, ignore the bathroom/kitchen thing. The people in charge of the kitchen generally aren't in charge of the bathrooms, and it's normally the server's job. If the restaurant area is busy, we're gonna skip that when we can, but we'll probably give it a quick tidy if we use the toilets. Most places opt for paper menus, because they can be chucked away afterwards. It's cleaner that way. However, if the table is sticky and the restaurant area is quiet, then there's probably a few other sticky areas. Check your cutlery. Most cutlery barely gets washed. It gets rubbed with soap, sprayed with water, and chucked in a dishwasher. It's then meant to be polished with hot water when it's brought to the table setup area. This is where we actually check it for leftover grime. If your cutlery is gross, chances are your wait staff aren't doing their job properly. Don't order fish on Sundays. Most places get their fish deliveries on a Monday and on a Thursday. Fish goes off very quickly, and on a Sunday it's really not great. If your server has long hair and it's not tied up, check for hair in your food. Kitchens tend to have really strict rules on their staff, and you barely see them with hair down and makeup on. If there's hair on your food, it's probably from your waitress. If your hot food is out quickly, your chef was probably a microwave. If your server visibly has a cold and is still working, don't eat there. They're either not paying their staff enough to have days off, or they're forcing staff to work on conditions where they shouldn't be handling food. The kitchen staff probably get the same treatment and probably have the same illness.